Do you need encouragement to turn tragedies into your own triumphant life story? If so, this podcast is for you. Listen to powerful guests who have persevered through challenges so you can gain strength to build your championship life. The host of Professor of Perseverance podcast, Dr. James Purdue.
Hey, come on in. It's time to get some, some encouragement. Let's get some get me up in gold information that'll get us over that little hump of something that goes wrong in life so we can have a better life. That way we can help somebody else in the future. Do the old pay it forward. Help them so they can help them and they can help somebody and keep going. So, all right, today, our topic, hey, we're going to talk about some self-improvement, really want to get to this part here. It's some traveling. Okay, this is good. All right, this guy here, he can consider himself a self-improvement fanatic. Going into the cold showers and daily meditation. I don't know about the cold showers now, but we'll find out how things work. Cold showers and meditation since he was in college. He said in the last 4 years he traveled the world and lived in over 30 countries. This is going to be amazing. So, welcome to the show, Edward Sturm.
Thanks, Professor. Do I call you Professor? Thanks.
What's the old thing? As long as you don't call me late for supper, I don't care.
Okay.
Now, James, whatever, it doesn't matter to me. So,
thank you for having me.
Hey, I appreciate you reaching out to me and we're getting together and getting on here because this is to me, it's amazing getting to travel the world. I mean, this is something. I don't know if everybody, most people, a majority, but a lot of people say, boy, I sure love to travel the world, and they don't get anywhere. And that would be me. I've been, like we talked to before we got started, been to a few places outside the U.S., but I would like to travel the world more. And so for you to be able to do that, to me, that's incredible and amazing. That's taking on what we call some perseverance.
Oh, yeah. Wait. So where would you like to travel to? I mean, you told me you went to Madagascar, which I think is very remarkable. I've never been to Madagascar.
Well, I haven't been to Madagascar itself, but between Madagascar and the east coast of Africa, those 4 little islands in between there, the Comora Islands. So, but yeah, that, and again, had a little, it's like 6-hour layover in Germany, 18-hour in Paris, 10, 12 hours in Yemen during some time.
Oh,
so
yeah.
That was amazing seeing that culture compared to, Africa and stuff.
Yo, I actually think traveling, so you did that in 2001. I actually think traveling like that so long ago is way more hardcore than what I do. Because traveling now is easy compared to 10 years ago, 20 years ago. Now,
oh, really? Okay.
there are Airbnbs everywhere. There's Uber or Uber alternatives everywhere. There's supermarkets that have everything. Internet is all over. There's apps that can do anything for you. Are you worried that you won't speak the language? That's okay. Google Translate translates audio in real time. It translates text in real time. You can hold up your phone to a foreign language. I do this every day. Have it translated right there. I'm in Rome right now. I don't speak Italian. I was buying dish soap at the supermarket today. I wasn't sure if it was dish soap or if it was soap for the floor or something else. Held my phone up right to it, said dish soap. Oh, okay. And now it's like crazy how easy it is. Wow. But I couldn't even imagine traveling and having to use Google Maps as well. Traveling and having to use like guidebooks and the translation dictionary and finding like reliable hotels and getting referrals from friends. Like, oh my gosh, it's so easy now.
I remember growing up. I'm a little older than you. I can tell already that. But my mom and dad used to buy those encyclopedias. People come door to door.
Oh, encyclopedias too.
36 books.
Sure.
And see, what you're talking about with your phone is basically this 36 book encyclopedia. For the maps, the translations, and everything like that. Where everybody else would be carrying all these books in their backpack, basically.
James, I'll tell you, I'm friends with people of all ages. In fact, I just started mentoring some kid. He's 21 years old, and the Zoomers, the Gen Z, they they don't really appreciate the fact that they have, like, how remarkable it is that they have a universal translator and like this universal device in their pockets everywhere that they go. I grew up. I'm 33, and I grew up having to go to the library to use the internet. So I still was able to use the internet, but I didn't have just the seamlessness that Zoomers have. And I grew up watching Star Trek with, like, Universal Translator was futuristic technology that could only exist like whatever 500 years in the future.
Mm-hmm.
Man, we've had Google Translate working well for the last 6, 7 years. Crazy, like 7 years, 7 years ago. That's a lot less than a couple hundred years. And you know what? When you think about how much technology has progressed in the last in the last couple of decades, man, what's going to be possible in the next few decades? And
Oh yes, yes, it's exciting.
it's gonna allow us to really focus on ourselves. I think on improving ourselves more, because we won't have to focus on all these trivial things like finding a reliable hotel or finding a supermarket, and instead we could focus on things that build us up, such as meditation or exercise or learning, reading, learning a new language. Even though you can use language apps, I still practice like language translation apps. I'm still teaching myself new languages, or socializing, social skills, and so many things that can be learned and improved upon. And we have time for so much more in our lives, and that's like the magic of it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I keep thinking as you're talking, talking about oh, we say, not Star Wars. What was the other one? Was it Star Wars you mentioned?
Star Trek, Star
Star
Trek.
Trek, Star Trek.
Yeah.
But I even, I
Did
even,
you watch Star Trek?
I watched some of it. I didn't. I'm not one of those Trekkies they call it, I guess.
I was a bit of a Trekkie
Okay.
back in the day. Yeah.
Well, yeah, I grew up more with the. I remember when the first Star Wars came out in the
Yeah.
'70s, and I remember our theater. If you went to the movies and bought your ticket for the 4 o'clock show, which was Star Wars, and you'd have to watch it twice, then you get the third free for free. The
Wow.
original new picture comes in at Friday, so we'd get there like at 2 o'clock or so, go from 2 to 4, 4 to 6, and then here's a new movie. And so
Dude,
we're half.
I'm a tremendous Star Wars fan, and when episode not of the new movies, I think the Disney ones are not good, but the prequels, which everyone
Mhm.
also hated, but I love those prequels. When the prequels came out, I marathoned. This is what I did. I watched episode one, The Phantom Menace. I watched episode two. I went into the theater to see episode three. I pretty much cried when Anakin turned to the dark side. Like, I
Mhm.
left that theater completely. I was 19 years old, just completely dejected. I was one of the sad. It was just so I was so sad. And then I got home, and then I watched like the animated series, and then I watched episodes 4, 5, and 6, and just marathon binged. I'm the same. I'm the same way.
Well, so what I was getting at with the Star Wars and the and the uh, not Star Wars, the other one Trek. Uh,
Star Trek.
Star Trek. I don't know why I could not getting that in my head. But what I was getting to is, you're talking about all the stuff in the future they were using stuff. I even go back even further when they had that detective Get Smart, and he's pulling his shoe off using it as a cell phone back then, and
I
Dick
remember that.
Tracy, Dick Tracy, using the watch for the first time that I remember, as like an Apple Watch today.
Oh
And
yeah,
so in
Apple
back in
Watches
the
are crazy.
so it just goes back to what people were thinking 50 years ago and what it's really coming to finally, today. And
You know what
again,
though? I don't
which
even.
again in the future
Yeah,
is just so exciting.
it's exciting. I don't even want an Apple Watch. I think there are limits that people I think people should limit themselves to technology use each day. I don't think we're made to handle that much technology. When I use too much technology, when I switch between devices and
Mhm.
apps too often on my phone, I get a headache. And I don't think it's healthy to get messages on your wrist all the time. I think it's quite dangerous for mental health. Uh, and I often like to leave my apartment without my phone.
Hmm.
I think it's very healthy to actually walk around, see something beautiful, and not have to take out your phone to take a picture of it and actually just appreciate it with
Yeah,
your
yeah.
own eyes and body. People don't know how to do that nowadays. It's crazy.
Well, and to be on your level, I don't have an Apple Watch either. So,
All
but
right.
I'm behind times
Hey.
on that as well, and I'm good with that. And I'm like you. Yeah, we've got to. Yeah, we've got to limit ourselves on this because it's so addictive.
Yeah. You
So.
know, the thing is, like, life can be, even if you don't have a lot of means. I'm not saying if you're totally in poverty, you know, if you're in like a real world country,
Hmm.
this is a lot harder. But I think if you're middle class in the United States or even lower middle class, like if you can live with even like a decent amount of discipline, your life can be pretty spectacular.
Hmm.
And you can get pretty far, especially with the safety net that technology has built in nowadays. Like this isn't uh this isn't like 200 years ago. Most of us don't have to go to war, or even like 100 years ago.
Oh yeah,
Most of us
yeah.
don't have, like, the amount of ease that technology has brought to our lives so that we can focus on more important things. I think it's just yeah, I think it's really great.
All right, Edward. Now let's get into. You called yourself a fanatic on the self development,
Oh yeah.
and so let's get into some of this and what got you started in this, and then your meditation and cold showers. You know what's the purpose of this? So let's go to those.
Yeah, yeah. Well, right before the show, actually, I took a contrast shower. A
Hmm.
contrast shower, if you don't know what it is, do you know what it is?
I don't exactly know. I was going to ask what is a contract shower.
The contrast shower is a contrast between temperatures. And sometimes I do only cold showers. Sometimes, though not very often anymore, I'll do only a hot shower.
Hmm.
But a contrast shower, you start it on hot. And what I do is I do my normal hot shower, wash myself.
Hmm.
My body's all warm, and then I turn the shower to the coldest that it can go, and it's very cold. And
Hmm.
then you withstand that for a couple of minutes, and you switch back to hot. And what happens is you get so relaxed, incredibly, you feel so incredibly peaceful afterwards, and your vibe is so authentic, and you're just you feel really nice. Even if there was one day, I think it was like a week ago, I was stressed out about something silly,
Uh huh.
and I had a
Most of the
call come
time,
in.
that's what it is, isn't it?
That's true.
Most of the
Most of the
time, it's
time, it's
stuff,
something silly.
it's not to worry over really, or it's out of our control, but still we stress about something.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
Alright,
Well,
go ahead.
here's the thing, James. Like, even when it is something serious, it's usually something silly compared to the worries that other people have.
Mhm,
And yeah, I mean, yeah, there are people with so many worse problems, and yeah, but so I was stressed out about something silly. I had a call coming up, and I took this contrast shower, and then I went on the call, and it was a call with my co-founder and someone else, and my co-founder was like, "Edward, you're so relaxed."
there you go.
Like, "Why are you so relaxed? Like, you're in a way more relaxed mood than normal." I'm like, "Yeah, I just feel really happy." And every time I do a contrast shower, it's just a good feeling. So, yeah, I do those, but
When did you start this type of showers?
I started cold exposure 3 years ago. I was living in
Okay.
Kiev, And a friend of mine does what's called Wim Hof method. And this guy, the Iceman, the Norwegian Iceman, he advocates a breathing exercise where you really oxygenate your body. A
Mm-hmm.
lot of us don't get enough oxygen. We
I
breathe into
agree
our
with that.
chests and not our belly. We
Do the
breathe the wrong way. Yeah.
we do the short, shallow breath. Yep.
Yeah. So this guy, he advocates this special breathing technique, and he also advocates cold exposure. And they kind of go hand in hand because with the breathing technique, you have to hold your breath for first a minute, then 90 seconds. And with the
Hmm.
longer ones, even 3 minutes.
Wow.
And I can hold my
Okay.
breath for more than 3 minutes now. And it it helps you control your autonomic nervous system, which
Hmm.
you really need to be able to do in a cold shower, because if you can't do that, you're going to hyperventilate and you just won't be able to withstand it. The thing about a cold shower or a cold bath is it's about surrendering your body and your muscles to the cold. And without practice controlling your autonomic nervous system, it's very difficult to do that. And so the cold shower gives you practice to do that. The breathing gives you practice to do that. It's really about controlling this autonomic nervous system, the automatic functions of your brain when you go into shock.
Hmm.
And so I got exposed to this 3 years ago. I tried doing cold showers. It was really hard. And I persevered, actually, because I recognized the benefits in it. So I said, okay, I'm going to just start for like a week. I'm just going to turn it on, count to 10, and then switch back to hot. And then I kept on increasing it. And then I was able to just do normal cold showers. And actually, I was still in Kiev. This was in January this year, before the war started. I started a 6-month lease in Kiev. I left only 10 days before the war began. And I was doing cold baths in the Ukrainian winter. And these baths were ice cold. And even with my practice, when I started, I could only withstand 45 seconds of a cold bath, and my
Hmm.
body was having a panic attack. I said, "Why are you doing this to me? Get me out of here!
Exactly.
What are
Exactly.
you doing?" And and I only was able to make it for 45 seconds the first time, and I said, "Okay, 45 seconds is what I can do. Let me try to increase that by 5 seconds
That's my beginning
every
point.
day." Yeah, every day, just 5 seconds.
Yeah.
And so I was able to do that, and I made it up to 3 minutes in the cold bath. And I could have gone for longer at that point, but it was like, why? And then I was back home in New York, and I was just doing entire cold showers. I wasn't even doing hot. And when I got to Bucharest, I was in Bucharest, Romania, before coming to Rome. Then I started doing the contrast showers after cold, and they're both excellent. I'll probably go back to cold soon. I think with anything in life, you need a bit of variety and
Oh
spontaneity.
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. I believe in routines. I believe in habits. I believe, like, we have an app for habit building, but at the same time, all work and no play makes Jack a dull boy, and you
Amen,
need
brother.
spontaneity in your life. Yeah.
Yeah, that goes to exercising. If people keep doing the same thing, same thing, same thing, and I understand, like you said, routines, but if you don't mix it up, you get bored with it, then you get
Yeah.
tired of it, and you stop it. So,
And then you
hey,
stop it. Yeah.
you stop it. So, hold on for a second. You did say perseverance. So, let me go back here and give you a fist bump.
Hey.
Woo! All right. So, you did say that, so give you a fist bump. All right. Oh, so yeah. This is a good. So starting in college or right out of college, you're doing all this, and so now what got you into just wanting to travel?
Oh, well, wanting to travel, in my early 20s, I was, it's kind of funny, but I was a club promoter at pretty much the most exclusive clubs in New York City. And I was going out every night from 11 p.m. to 6 a.m. dead sober. I never really drank. I always actually believed that it was kind of like this training ground, and if I drank, it would hinder the life lessons that I got from working in this industry, and it was really interesting. You see both the best and the worst in people when everyone is unhinged in the middle of the night at these clubs. But because it was New York City, the melting pot of the world, I met everyone from everywhere, and I never traveled. I went to school in Boston, and living in New York through my 20s, I never traveled, and my friends would travel. They say, Edward, why aren't you traveling? And I said, why would I travel? New York City has everyone and everything, and
that makes sense.
that was my logic.
Yeah.
But it was in 2018. We had our first like really big success with business. I had other successes before that, many other successes, but this was our first big monetary success. I had small monetary success, but this was our first big one. And then one of my co-founders started to travel, and I had this FOMO. I'm like, okay, he's traveling, and I haven't traveled, and let me just see what else is out there. And so I left New York City. I left the United States, um, thinking I would travel for maybe 3 to 6 months. And I was having a lot of fun. I was still working, and I work a lot from everywhere that I go from my laptop. But I was enjoying myself. I was enjoying seeing these new places and meeting these different people. So I said, okay, let me keep it for a year. I'll travel for a year. And I was in Kiev when COVID happened. I had a flight actually back home to New York, booked for literally a year exactly after I left. That flight was canceled, and I had this choice. I'm like, okay, should I be in New York City during lockdowns and um, get on this cramped last minute emergency flight back to New York?
Mm-hmm.
Or should I stay in my comfortable apartment in Kiev with the friends that I've made here? And I chose Kiev. I didn't want to have to take a cramped emergency flight home, and I didn't want to be in New York during lockdowns. Um, and lockdowns ended up going for a lot longer than people thought.
Oh yes.
Everything lasted for a lot longer than people thought.
Well,
And
Kiev, did they not lock down or anything?
though they did, but they didn't do lockdowns as hard. There were full lockdowns for, I think it was 2 months,
Uh-huh.
but other places were a lot
Yeah, it
longer
wasn't
and
2
a lot more
years.
harsh. Yeah.
Wasn't
And
2 years, yeah.
and so what happened was, as the world rebounded, normally Americans can only spend 90 days out of 180 days in Ukraine, and the extension
Oh,
kept
okay.
getting pushed back because it was an international crisis, and
Mm-hmm.
the extension kept getting pushed back, and I stayed and I stayed and I stayed until I had to leave, and I left then for the required amount of time and came back, and yeah, so that's why I've been gone. That's why I was gone for so long. And then I just became really comfortable with going on flights, going to different places, and living in different places. And I'll probably stop doing that soon. And yeah, I enjoy seeing the new places, but I do like the whole slow map thing. And I stay in like one place for a long period of time.
Yeah, I got interested in wanting to travel more, but I went to a research center. I got my neck broke playing football, and went to a research center in Miami. They were doing they called the Miami Project to help spinal cord injuries try to regain function. And while I was in Miami, I met these other people coming from Trinidad and
Yeah.
Cuba and other places, from the world, to get help or whatever, at the hospital university down there. And so I just started thinking, well, I wonder if I just get a quarter from them, or something, just so I can have the different,
Currency.
currencies, just as a memorabilia thing for me, not to spend anywhere. And yeah, so I was getting a bunch of people. They're just just kindly just giving me, some of the change. And one dude come up, I think it was Trinidad, and I don't know exactly what the currency, but it was a bill and it had like 50,000 on it. And I'm going, oh man, no, I can't take that because I'm thinking $50,000. And he
Uh,
called it
yeah.
something else. And then he finally told me, he said, no, this thing here is worth like a candy bar and a Coke, like
Yep.
that. And
Yep.
so I took it then. But yeah, my mind was going $50,000. No, man, I understand you're rich, but no. Yes. So that was good. I mean, good for me to learn that, to know that,
Inflation is crazy.
but
Inflation
I
is
was I
crazy.
was wild about, how the currency and stuff and
I I've
how
I
they're
so
doing in different
I have a
countries.
question. I have a question for you on the topic of perseverance. So you said you broke your neck playing football, and what are some insights that you've gotten during the rehabilitation process?
You talking good and bad? Anything?
I prefer positive insights, things that you've learned that could be helpful to others. I'm
Well,
not
the
trying
only
to flip the script, but I'm
no,
genuinely
no,
curious.
you're good. No. The only thing that I say bad is here these physical therapists are not paralyzed and they're trying to tell you what you ought to be doing.
Oh no,
And
I mean like insights, like things that that you've
no,
realized.
yeah. I'm just saying when I said good or bad, and you want to pause, I would say the only thing bad I would say is
Mhm.
these therapists trying to tell you what to do, and they're not experiencing it, and then they don't want to listen to you when everybody's still different. That's the only bad thing I really have to say. The great thing you learn how resilient you are,
Yeah,
how determination, perseverance.
yeah, yeah.
You just learn all this stuff. You learn that you could still live a life. I first got hurt, I couldn't move from my neck down. After surgery, I started to move my arms and everything. Uh,
Wow.
and so then, to learn to redress yourself, to refeed yourself, to get in out of bed, to learn to drive again. And but it shows you with the right mindset, you can do it.
Yeah.
And you know as well as I do, you get the wrong mindset, and there's plenty of people out there,
Oh,
and that's why
it's
they're
horrifying.
laying. Well, that's why they're laying in bed, being fed and watered like a plant, watching the same TV show that whoever is with them because they can't change the channel with their own hands because they hadn't practiced doing it. And
Mhm.
so I'm just blessed that I'm where I'm at today and going, and I contribute a lot of it to. I believe there's a God, and I believe He put me where I needed to be with the family I'm at because they were hard headed like me. Because they told my family to put me in a nursing home at 19 years old, that I
Wow.
would be too much of a burden for them to provide care. And so, fortunately, they were hard headed. I was hard headed that we didn't follow that rule, and yeah,
You
so.
persevered. You know what? A friend that I made while traveling, I'll keep the story nebulous, but good friend, and he is a very he goes hard with everything that he does, and he is one of just the most determined people that I've met. Uh, like if he says he's going to do something, he's going to do it.
Hmm.
And so we were in this country. Wasn't the greatest of countries. Well, it's a pretty great country, but it was like we were in a country. It's a great
Hmm.
country. I love this country. Can't say the name. Can't say who my friend is, but
Hmm.
he went to a party one night, and I wake up the next morning. He had invited me to this party, and I decided not to come. And I wake up at 6 a.m., can't sleep, check my phone. He tells me he's been stabbed. He tells me his hand has been cut off.
Mm.
And it was a bit of an exaggeration, but it was still pretty bad. He was stabbed in the wrist. His father's stopwatch prevented the blade from cutting into his wrist fully,
Mhm.
and he probably would have died. And his hand was cut in half by this blade. His middle finger was cut off, and he went to the hospital in this place, and there wasn't the greatest hospital care there, and he was there for a few days. Finger was put on ice, and he was bandaged. He went back to where he's from and had a lot of surgeries. Had the finger stitched back on, and um, he was told that he. I told him when I was taking him to the airport. I told him, I said, listen, I believe in you, and I believe that you can maintain 100% mobility. And so he went back. He had all these surgeries. This was maybe a year. This was just a bit over a year ago. A year and maybe like 3
Mm-hmm.
months, 4 months. The doctors told him, yeah, maybe like you'll get, I think it was like 50% mobility back. And every month he would go in and show progress, and they'd be like, I don't know how you're doing this. I don't know how you're doing this. And it's, a year and 4 months later, and he's probably at 80%.
Yeah.
And I think he'll be back in the next year. I think he'll be back. He's still young. I think he'll be back to like 95, maybe 100. Not, I don't think 100 is possible, but I could see 95.
Yeah.
And yeah, and I like modern medicine a lot. But also, doctors, I guess they have to keep expectations low. I think it's quite important. And if you keep surpassing expectations too, then you believe that you can continue to surpass expectations. That's like the
Yep.
beauty of these little positive milestones. But it's remarkable. Yeah, it's remarkable
Our
what
mind and
people
body
can
can
do.
do far
Yeah.
more than what
Far more.
we comprehend at that time. And I'm like you, the doctors. I think they tell you the worst, they prepare you for the worst.
Yeah, they have to.
They don't. Yeah, because if you go, oh, I've seen other people like this, and they've gained and do. Then if you don't get where they're telling you, then they're worried about lawsuits.
Yeah.
So
They're worried about lawsuits, but also actually think it could be it could deter you because you feel like you're making progress too slow. But if they really set expectations low and then you surpass those expectations,
yeah.
that's why
I'm
like
winning.
yeah,
I'm
yeah,
winning.
yes, I'm
Yep.
winning and I'm going to keep winning.
Yep. So I remember I went to this one vocation rehab for, and it was a training for disabled people to get a training to get a job later. And so I took his one aptitude test with the counselor there. And my goal at that time, I wanted to come back to where I live and go to our 2-year 2-year community college. And according to his study, his test that he gave me, that I wouldn't complete it and achieve it. And I went back to him after I got my master's degree, which he had, and told him, your test was kind of wrong. Well, they're not perfect. So, so,
Yeah, they're not perfect.
so, yeah. I said a piece of paper may tell you some things, but it doesn't give you what the person's will and determination, what they really want to do in life. So,
Oh, I mean, yeah, testing for like those kinds of tests. I just when like even if you're bad at something, one of the most important traits that a human can have is perseverance. It is determination, and I am a strong believer that anybody can be good at pretty much anything. Uh, if you small chunk practice and you do it daily for long periods of time, that progress, that practice compounds. And the effects that you see, people, the problem is like people have trouble really thinking in long periods of time. They don't
mhm.
really deeply think about what can happen in 2 years if they keep at it day after day after day after day after day. And so they abandon things really fast, and these things otherwise would have been lucrative. So if you think of things from a long-term perspective, from a compounding perspective, and you apply like I think people in finance think like this all the time, but they don't apply it to their lives. And if you apply this to your life, to your health, to your wellness,
Mhm.
to your mind, to your learning, to your knowledge, to things that you're practicing, the results will not can will be tremendous.
I agree with you. And my example I tell to other people is, I don't care what's put out there. If you really want to learn how to do that, you can do it.
Yes.
I mean, it's I don't care if it's rocket science or digging a hole and how many feet you got to go deep or whatever it is, because if it's man-made, it's capable of learning. It just determines if you want to learn
My
whatever
friend
that is.
had his freaking finger cut off, and he can move his fingers now like this,
Yeah,
and that was a year and a half ago. Man, like he was a bodybuilder too, so he had to stop lifting. And
yeah.
yeah, he had a great physique.
See
And
that when you tell me that now, that gives me more insight on how he was able to get his finger back working like it is. Because I mean, to bodybuild, look at all the perseverance and determination and
oh yeah, that's true.
willpower, the
Oh man,
working out, the mental aspect of it. Yeah. So once you told me that, that gives me a big picture on how he was able to get that finger going.
yeah, sure. Yeah, bodybuilders have so much discipline. I used to be somewhat of a bodybuilder actually in my early 20s. And then eventually I realized that I would rather use that discipline for something more productive in my life, because
Hmm.
I'm too much of an ectomorph to ever compete in like the IFBB really seriously. And I was spending a lot of time in the gym, and
Hmm.
I also just felt like I'd rather work out to be healthy than work out to look better than everybody. I didn't like that mindset.
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
but yeah, the amount of discipline that
Oh, yeah,
bodybuilding
for
takes.
that? Oh, yes.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
not that I'm, ever try to be a bodybuilder, but I have
No, I
been
I did, and it's
but I
crazy.
but but I've been on the, building of a banana split before, and so so just to put a little humor in there, so the building of a banana split for me. So, alright, Edward, this has been amazing. I would love to hear more stories, just where you've been. I actually found out about two last year that I was a teacher for a while, and I met this gentleman, re-met him, and he said that his daughter was in my classroom when I was teaching, and she's one of them. It's her and her husband's got a YouTube channel with 2 million followers, and they travel the world.
Yeah.
So YouTube is paying them to go all over the place.
Of course. Yeah,
So.
YouTube's great. Actually, funny enough, I was viral on YouTube, so I've had hundreds of millions of views on YouTube. I've been on some of the biggest TV shows in the United States, like Good Morning America, The
Hmm.
Today Show, 2020. But the trick to YouTube nowadays, it's like everything that we've been discussing for the duration of the show, and it's literally it's just putting in the work every day. And YouTube rewards creators who put out a video each day. If you can put out, it's like pretty much any platform. If you can put out content every day, you get rewarded. And YouTube is no different, and the rewards are very high. And so if you want to, you won't see success at first, but then the algorithm will start showing you to people after the first month, and then it'll show you to more after the second month. And
Yes.
yeah, consistency, like everything in life, it's key. And YouTube is no different.
Well, and I was going to say it's just like the name of the show. We got to persevere to be able to
Yes.
get through it. And then also what the Southern people say here is you got to hang in there like a hair in a biscuit. So
A hair and that's it's kind of
hang
gross.
in like a hair in a biscuit.
Oh man.
That's a Southern slang.
Wow.
So, all right, Edward. Hey, I appreciate you, man. But I would like to stay in touch with you and maybe get some further details later on and get some more
Definitely.
on
This
from
was
you.
so fun. I'm happy to come back on whenever.
I've enjoyed the conversation again. I would like to be more of a traveler, and so maybe as I get older and I have to be in a wheelchair, have someone to go with me. My brother, he'll be retiring maybe 7 or 8 years. Maybe I'll talk him into doing some traveling. So from there. So all right, Edward. Hey, appreciate it, man. Hey, give us any social media websites, anything that anybody can get a hold of you, maybe chat with you from
Yeah.
there.
We have a product that incentivizes you using social accountability and loss aversion to actually stick with daily challenges and habits so you can improve yourself every day. It's called Commit Club,
Okay.
commitclub.co. You can pick a daily challenge like 15 minutes daily meditation, 15 minutes daily journaling, 30 burpees every day. You can name your friends who get daily progress on your challenge. If you're not doing your challenge, then they can remind you, they can nudge you, hey, like you didn't
There
do
you
your
go.
burpees today, you didn't journal. Then you
Having
can also,
accountability partners.
yes, accountability partners. You can put money where your mouth is. You can say $100
Oh,
that
yeah.
I do this challenge. And every day that you do your challenge, you get a portion of your money back. And if you don't do your challenge, whatever you lose gets distributed to everybody else who's doing their challenges. So you can make money working on yourself as well.
There you go. It's
Yeah,
cool.
yeah, yeah. And yeah, that's commitclub.co. And I'm very vocal on Twitter talking about all the progress that we make with the app, and about life in general. And my Twitter is Edward_Sturm. My DMs are open. I love to hear from anyone anytime. And you can find me on LinkedIn too. I like talking to people. So reach out to me with whatever you want.
I could tell you're one of them with the Southerner people would say again, you've never met a stranger. I could tell. So, but I've been very
Yeah, yeah,
relaxed
yeah,
talking with you.
yeah.
I've been very relaxed and talking and learning from you here a little bit. And I'll take that information you put and I'll put it in the show notes to make it easier for people to come find you as well. So,
Thank you.
hey,
I
Edward,
really I really
no,
like
go
that.
ahead.
I've never met a stranger. Yeah, because I like to see the best in people.
And that is a fault. I hate to say it's a fault of mine that I try to see the best of people. And when I went to go get my service dog in Orlando, a friend of mine that we've known for 40 years breaks in my house and steals $9,000 out of the
Oh
house
man,
and
what?
trashed the house and everything else looking. And so, yeah, so even though, yeah,
Well, it's
that's
like
the bad instinct.
I've
I mean,
been
I'm glad I
I've
have it
had
really, because I
I've had
prefer I
friends.
prefer being friends, making friends, and
Yeah.
looking and going, what's he gonna do to me?
Oh,
So
I think people who believe in others get the best opportunities, and I think also with practice you learn to not take unnecessary risks with people, with certain types of people. I've been stolen to as well. I've had someone squat in an apartment that I
mhm.
had. Lost a lot of money from that. This was a person who's a friend, and you stop making. Or I've lent money to friends who promised to give it back, and they never
Oh yeah,
never did. And eventually, you learn. You stop make. That's the thing about doing things all the time, is that you improve and you get better at them. It's the beauty of life.
and what you mentioned about the money lending, borrowing. I'm
Yeah, yeah.
Dave Ramsey. I don't know if you know Dave Ramsey, but his thing is never loan a friend or family money because their Thanksgiving dinners taste different when someone owes you money and they're not paying you.
Well,
And
here's
and
here's
he suggests that if you have the money and you don't need it, give it to them. That way you don't have to worry about it coming back.
well,
Is what he
yeah,
said. Or you just say, no, I can't do that because I don't want to ruin
yes.
our friendship. Or yeah,
Well, yeah, in that if you ever give a friend money, anyone money, my friend said this to me like long time ago when I was considering to give someone money, and if you give that person money, you just see it as a gift. It's a gift, and
yeah,
you shouldn't, even if the person says they're going to give it back, you shouldn't expect to get it back,
yeah,
and you just see it as a gift. And then if you can't do it, you just say no, sorry.
yeah, exactly. And so then it's back on their ball court if they still
If
want
they
to
don't
remain
want to be
friends.
if they don't want to be friends with you because you won't give them money, then like I
Yeah,
don't know.
exactly, exactly. So, all right, Edward. So we learned a little piece of tidbit right there as well. All right. Hey, Edward, there's people hurting and struggling out there. If you can give us a positive message to help them get through today, it'd be awesome, man.
Positive message: if you small chunk your goals into daily bite-sized practice, you can do anything that you want. Think long term, not short term, and in a couple of years, you'll have everything that you desire. It sounds too good to be true until you start doing it and making progress, which doesn't even take too long. And then you realize that it's true.
There we go. Do the jigsaw puzzle one piece at a time. And what's the thing? How do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time.
You can't eat an elephant.
How do you walk your 1,000 miles? One step at a time.
One
So
step
like
at a
you said,
time, one
break
bite at
it
a
down.
time, one
I'm
jigsaw
all about
puzzle
breaking it
piece
down.
at a
Yes.
time. Yeah,
Yep, I'm all
it
about
down,
breaking it
small
down.
chunk it.
Get a bunch of wins and attaboys and to keep you going strong.
Consistent daily practice is everything.
Yes, sir. All right, Edward, thank you for being here. Hey, everybody else, if you know someone wants to travel or learn more, go ahead and hit up Edward here. And again, I'll have the information in the show notes. Is that it? Yeah, we're doing well. Edward, again, thank you for being here, man.
Cool. Thank you so much for having me.
And I want to hang in with you, and yeah, maybe we get together later on again. This has been interesting for me anyway. So, all right, everybody else. Hey, I'm Dr. James Perdue, the Professor of Perseverance. Thank you for listening to the Professor of Perseverance podcast. Do something today, tomorrow, something next week that's going to help you persevere past your